This is the ESPN Aussie Hoops Hour, here for part 2 of our NBL Midseason check-ins. We did 5 teams last week. The goal was to get every team in. And so we're going to speak to a bunch of teams this episode to get a gauge on how they feel they're tracking at this point in the NBL season. Now, you'll notice that we don't have a representative from the Cairns Taipans. Now, I've been speaking with the Taipans and going back and forth about them offering someone up to us. And they did try to get us somebody, but they're in the midst of a 12-game losing streak. It's an awkward ask for me to get a player to come on and talk about some of the issues they're dealing with. So I'm human. I was totally okay giving them some grace. I've got sympathy for their situation. They went through some injuries and they're trying to get back on track. So I do want to get a Cairns Taipans player or coach or front office member down the line. But for now, I was okay with leaving them off this episode and speaking with them a bit later. We will speak about some of the goings on around the NBL next week. That's when Kane Pittman will be back. We'll get back to some of our regular programming. We'd have to talk about Bryce Cotton and what he's doing. United on a losing skid. The Illawarra Hawks reaching the top of the ladder. The JackJumpers brought in a new import. Dash Daniels is the next star. So there's a lot to talk about, but that'll be with myself and Kane next week. But for now, part 2 of our mid-season check-ins. I'll see you on the other side. All right, from Melbourne United with a very pretty sponsored wall behind them, we have Marcus Lee. Firstly, Marcus, how is everything? How is your back? Are we going to see you next game or what?
As of right now, we're kind of just training to get me there. We're getting really good progress with it, so we're excited to. That's our kind of point of to get right now is, or I guess the goal is to get there for Monday's game.
So you guys started the season really well. Obviously, lost 3 in a row. You're watching these from the bench. What are you seeing out there? What's the thing that's not going right? Because I look at it, the defensive numbers have dipped a bit. But what are you seeing out there?
I see we're trying to figure things out still. And I think that's the great thing with this team is that we're trying to learn and figure things out on the fly as quick as possible. But the game's going just as fast. These teams are catching up. And you can definitely see what teams have been adjusting and working on in that off break period.
So your strong start to the season, I think you guys started 12-4. I put a lot of that down to the continuity of a lot of these guys having played together, even you among this group and having played under Dean and with these guys. Does that give you confidence that you guys can figure this out, this little slump that you guys are in?
Yeah, for sure. This couple stray of games means very little. We're going to take it as a learning experience. And like you said, this team is very experienced and very experienced together. So we come closer together and we know it's just going to be a little glitch. And once we're all back on the court, you see a big difference. And I mean, I've been in these practices lately and the guys are going at it hard. They're willing to learn and try to make a difference and make changes. And that's our superpower right now.
Have you been in a stretch like this? Because I'm looking around the league and, the Taipans are in a similar thing where they sort of just need the one win just to get over that mental hurdle. And I think we see the opposite when you're winning a lot of games in a row and you get into a sort of flow. Have you been in a situation like this? And how do you break the momentum when you want to just get over a mental hurdle?
I think it's just focusing on that next practice, and that's what we're doing. We're not focused on winning the next game or who we have next. We have, as of what the last game was on Sunday, but as of that last game, we had 9 days until our next game. So we just focused on winning the day, and that's kind of the biggest focus and the biggest thing around our practice is, all right, we're winning today. We're not focused about Monday coming up. We're about today, and then after today, we're going to win tomorrow. And that's what we've been doing, and you can see it in everybody's eyes. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get better each and every day in practice.
How much have you enjoyed over this season being part of this sort of tag team with Rob? And especially recently, we're seeing Rob play really, really good basketball, but you guys have different styles of play. But I know, when you guys, tag each other out, It brings something different. How enjoyable is it to be, part of that tandem with him?
I mean, it's really fun. You guys, I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but last game I had wore a Rob Love jersey to the game, and it's fun being able to play with someone that's a different type of player issue, but also the coaches give us the power to kind of go off each other. You see, coaches aren't really calling when to sub each other out. We're kind of just running back and forth and talking to each other. We're reading each other's body language. And I think that's the best thing you can have when it comes to two really good bigs like that, is that it's kind of just like a fluid way. And it's also fun watching other teams kind of panic and kind of see, oh, we have to change our whole game plan between two different bigs. And you usually don't have that. Most times coaches, staff, they choose players that are the same in positions. They'll say we'll have two really good rolling bigs or two shooting bigs. And you see that across the league. But for us, we had two very different players, and it causes quite a bit of chaos. I don't know if you want to call Roddy Middle shooting big anymore. You call it rolling dunking big, but just saying, it's a lob threat now.
Do you know what's crazy? He's dunking on people, but he's still shooting. Like the shots he's shooting, they remind me of Jack McVay shots, where he's coming off these like wiper actions or these pick and pops, and it's no hesitation. Did you play with Jack last year? Are you seeing like a little bit of that?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest thing out of both of those is the team. The team are finding new little things in our plays our coaches are giving us, but we're adding little wrinkles for Rob to come off a pin down instead of our guards, or for CG to curl and pin for Rob. And we're getting the guys we want to have the ball shooting in great situations, and that's what gives them the confidence to shoot like that.
So speaking of shooting, one of the most memorable points of this season was Chris's, obviously the big game, right? The 46-point game. But then he went on that heater. He went off to FIBA, did really well, shot it unbelievably well, and then came back and seemingly didn't cool down. Can you describe what it was like to be on the floor during that game and just when he's in that sort of mode where it's seemingly nothing can miss?
You honestly don't notice it until like those last maybe 3, 4, 5 shots, because you're like, oh, that's just normal CG, they're gonna go in for him, and then you're like, oh wait, another one went in, another one went in. But it's nothing surprising because that's how he is in practice. He's like that. He was like that today in practice. Like he just comes off, he's just back to normal like that, or he's hitting 4 or 5 in a row in a practice, and you're like, where did this come from? And you're like, oh wait, nope, that's CG. That makes sense, and it's kind of the person he's always been,
My last one for you is you look at this team and you guys started really well, and obviously you're in this little down patch in your season. And I think all around the league, people are pretty confident that you guys will turn it around. You're a very trusted team, I think, based on the personnel you have. What gives you confidence, though, when you look at this roster and how you guys operate, that this is a team that can turn this around, get on a run when it matters, and ultimately win a championship?
I think the biggest thing is our core. Our core guys are really, you see that we're very unfazed, where we know where our problems are and we're eager to fix them. We're not in a panic mode. We're going to just go back to our basics and kind of do what we do best. We're going to get stops and run the floor, and that's really where we succeeded very well, and we need to get back to.
Awesome. Well, Marcus, thanks for your time. I hope we see you on the court relatively soon. And next time I talk to you, I don't want to see a sponsor Insight. I just want to talk to Marcus Lee and be done with it.
That's not a me thing. I tried helping you.
All good. Thank you, man. We'll chat soon.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
From the New Zealand Breakers, I have Mitch McCarron. Mitch, you've just come from practice. Obviously, 6-game losing streak. What are the vibes in practice right now?
Yeah, hey Olgun. We obviously we're just hard at work trying to figure out a solution to find a win, and it doesn't matter whether it's ugly, it's scrappy, it's pretty, whatever it is, we just have to find a win. And obviously the scout changes game to game, but what doesn't change is how we go about our business and the mentality that we bring to each game. So it's just been kind of getting back to just finding that every single day.
What's the mental hurdle like when it's seemingly like it's so tough to get over the line at any point, and you just need that one win to open the floodgates and sort of be normal again? What's the key to getting over that mental hurdle?
I think for us, it's just about, learning from past mistakes and then flushing it. Obviously we've got a relatively young group and a group that's pretty new to the league as well. And you just have no time to dwell, on losses, and you have to learn on the fly and learn quickly. If one team sees success, the other team's going to do that the next game probably. And that's what we're finding, how teams are going to defend Taco. Everyone's going to keep doing it until we punish it properly. And our guards and our bigs have to be connected in that and understand how we're punishing that type of coverage. And then we make it go away and they have to do something else. If you don't, then everyone will keep doing it.
So let's talk about Taco. We'll start with the first half of it, which was obviously Freddie out, Taco in. I know Freddie liked the group. I know the group really liked Freddie. What was it like as a teammate, knowing that game against Cairns was going to be his last game with the team and that he would be leaving? What was it like watching someone who was a really solid player for the group and well-liked, knowing that he was going to sort of just be on to a new team?
Yeah, I guess it's always hard when you have a really likable guy. You meet a lot of different people in the industry, and Freddie was a big personality, and the group got around him and he bought into the group, and it was awesome. But it's also professional basketball. Guys move on. I mean, he's on a good EuroLeague team, in Milano. So you're also happy for him that he's in a good place and he'll make a great impact there. And then we bring Taco in, and same thing. He's a great guy, great personality, loves getting around the guys. So. It wasn't so much like, oh no, Taco this. It was just like, all right, Freddie, best of luck. We all love you and love what you gave up for us to try and win games. And, we're glad Taco's with us as well.
What's the big challenge of incorporating Taco? Because he's obviously a unique body, a unique basketball player who has a ton of strengths that no one else in world basketball has. But there's also some deficiencies that come with that, and you have to sort of work around it all. What's the big challenge about making sure that he can be effective in the NBL?
I think, you touched on it. I don't know that I certainly haven't, but I don't know we've ever seen something like Taco in terms of that size and strength too. It's not just, skin and bone. Like, he's a strong guy. And so, teams are just throwing every bit of muscle they can at him and just sitting on the back and just pushing and pushing and pushing. And, whether it's always legal or not is something that we have to deal with. Unfortunately, when you're just that big, guys are going to get away with a bit more contact than maybe they would on another player. And this league has traditionally gotten quicker and quicker and quicker with guys. They're bigs. The 4s and the 5s all get in and out of on balls quick and pop a lot and run into zoom actions. And, Taco's not that type of 5. So, we are different, and, we haven't adjusted to it super well as a playing group. Obviously, we've lost games, just not that it's all Taco's fault. It's us as a playing group. We haven't adjusted. We haven't found him when he's always open. Defensively, we have to play differently. We have to climb in more and put more pressure on the ball because, he's in a deeper drop. So it's a group effort, and that's what we have to do to win games.
The two things I noticed in Taco's first game, I was in Wollongong for that game against the Hawks. And the first one was, I don't know if NBL officials are going to figure out how to officiate this guy because he does get thrown around a lot. He is huge. And the other one was something that Justin Tatum said, which was, we got distracted by him. You get this urge to either go at him or see him in the deep drops, and you think, oh, I'm wide open. I have to. You're very reactive. Like, I have to shoot this shot. And it felt the same with you guys, where it's all right. He's in the post. All right, we must feed him because it's Taco. We have to do that. Was there a point where you guys got over that part of it, where you get distracted by how unique he was, and you got to figure out, all right, how can we actually make it functional?
I think there's definitely been a delay in terms of finding our rhythm offensively, and that's not to say that we haven't put points on the board in some games, because we have. You look at the Perth game and recently in Adelaide, we scored plenty of points to win a game. In terms of our wins and losses throughout the year and what we were scoring, it's not like we were putting 120 points on teams consistently to get wins. We were, it was about our defense and scoring and being opportunistic scorers, I suppose. So it's not so much that, it's just like, how consistent are we at being threats? How well do we shoot the ball, which is something that we haven't done well as a group in the past 6 games consistently from the 3. It's really hard to win games in the NBL if you're not making threes. It's just what it is. So, I think from that, we get consumed at times with looking at one thing, and that again, it's not necessarily Taco's fault. It's just not how many times have you played with a 7'6" guy that's just always there and he's always kind of half open, and that's something that we as individual players need to be really good at, making reads. Is that option there? No, on to the next thing. And that's really what we've been working on a lot at practice, is just making those quick reads.
The pre-FIBA breakers feels like so long ago. You guys were 7-3 going into that FIBA window. What are some of the things that you guys were nailing at that point in the season that obviously you have gone away from, but you need to get back on track, because you've gone from second place to second last place? What was the stuff that was succeeding earlier that you need to get back to?
Well, we need to guard better. Our one-on-one coverage in the half court hasn't been at the level that it needs to be. And, I'm not deep diving the analytics. I think it's pretty obvious that our half court defense has taken a drastic shift away from where it was in the first half of the year. And I'm not naive to the fact that teams get better. Teams see you for a second time now. We're not playing them for the first time and shocking them with the coverage or shocking them with an offense. They've seen our system now and they make adjustments, and now it's on us to make the adjustment and put the ball back in their court. And we haven't done that well as a playing group, just on both ends. And then again, we're a team that relies on defensive execution to allow us to get into rhythm offensively. We're not a team trying to come down and put 120 points on the board every game. So we're not trying to lean into that against like a Sydney Kings. It's probably not advantage us if we play that way. So we know we need to be better on that end, and that'll give us some more rhythm on the offensive end. And then maybe we start getting some more open rhythm threes, and then that helps your defense, and so on and so on. So I think from that end of the floor, we know we just really need to nail our coverages, know what we're living with, and only give teams, one shot and give them that shot.
Now, you've been under some really, really impressive head coaches throughout your career. I think of Fernie, I think of Dean. These are two of, I think, Australia's best ever head coaches. Now you're under Petri Koppinen, who is in his first ever season as a professional head coach. What have your impressions been, and how do you feel like he's handled his first season?
Yeah, Copp's been great. It's not easy, I think, coming over to the NBL for first time, especially for an international coach. You have to learn, obviously, that teams get very, I don't want to say copycat as a negative thing. It's not. It's just, there's only 10 teams. One team runs an action that looks really good. Suddenly everyone's running that. And you have to run with that. We tried to be a little bit different, I think, with our system. And I don't want to speak for Kopp or the coaching staff, but, we tried to play different and be different with our roster. And that had some success early. And as I mentioned before, now we're seeing the challenges of like, all right, teams are going to really try and play one way against us and give up one thing, and we need to punish that better. So I think, that's just, as a coaching staff, as a playing group, we all need to work together. And, whether you look at our wins and losses throughout the year and say, was it a shooting thing? Was it, a defensive thing? I don't think you can sit there and knock our coaching staff at all for that. I feel like they've been great. They've been consistent with our system and how we're trying to play. And, I've really got no complaints there. I think he's doing a great job and the coaching staff's doing a great job.
Have you ever had an all-Euro coaching staff outside of when you were in Ljubljana?
No, I haven't. And that's also kind of how I mean. I think they've been really good in terms of understanding it's a different culture over here as well. They've brought some things over in terms of expectations. I made a joke earlier in the year at a promo that, sometimes it's hard when your best shooter is your head coach. The expectation is that, like, we should be able to do this. This is what we do. And sometimes it's like, yeah, but, it's different here, and how we play and what's considered good shot, bad shot, et cetera, can be different. But I feel like he's been great at adjusting and understanding, a different type of league and a different type of teams, and just adjusting maybe his expectations or systems that he's been in before into how we need to play here to win.
As this is your first season as a teammate of Parker, Jackson Cartwright, he is one of the most interesting players. He's one of the best players in the league. He's also one of the most interesting players to watch, especially when I watch him up close. What have your impressions been of being around Parker and watching him operate on the day-to-day?
Yeah, such a great guy. Just a chill guy who kind of just goes about his business, and then when he hits the court, gets really competitive, and you can see that really kick in. And wants to win, wants to help his team win, and you just get that vibe from week one that we had the preseason. Obviously, he was here last year with some of the guys, but my first experience with him as a teammate, you can just see that in practice, where he just picks the moment, starts picking up full court, and starts doing that stuff that he knows the team needs to do. And I think as a teammate, again, we need to understand that, and a lot of pressure is put on him by other teams. Like where he set such a high level at the start of the year. It was basically front runner MVP. In my opinion, in what he was doing with the ball and creating opportunities for himself and other guys. And now teams are putting a lot of pressure on him. And that we expected that, and we've got to be ready for that every game. They're going to try and take him out of the game because he's just that good.
All right, Mitch. Last question is it's a lighthearted one. So this is an ESPN product. ESPN is owned by the Walt Disney Company. I recently got out to the cinema. I watched Moana 2. That is a movie for children, which I didn't realize until halfway through. I know you have... Moana is a movie for everyone. Moana 2 is a movie for children. I know you have a young boy, Oslo. You also have another child. Moana 2 or Mufasa the Lion King? What's the vibe for Oslo this weekend when you take him to the movies?
Yeah, it's a tough one. We still need to see Moana 2. And I've got some pressure from my children about seeing the Rara's lines. My daughter likes to say. So I need to take my daughter to the Rara's, and I need to take them both to Moana 2. So I haven't delivered in either space at the moment.
Okay. Look, you should go to both of them. I am a good company man as a member of the Disney family. So go watch both of them. Mitch, thank you for your time. I hope you guys get out of this funk, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Olgun. Appreciate it.
All right, from the Brisbane Bullets, we have head coach Justin Schueller. Justin, I see, are you at the facility right now? I can see the sort of the board behind you. Can you, I was there last week. I went through it. Firstly, welcome. And then secondly, tell us what it's like to have a facility. What can you put into words what it means?
No, thanks for having me, mate. Yeah, it's like an advantage now that we hope we can grow into exactly that. Having a one-stop shop, players' lounge, guys being able to hang out and have those connection pieces that we feel are pretty important. To then have their weights, recovery in the one spot, medical treatment in the one spot, and then be able to access the court 24/7. That needs to be an advantage that we create now. And the start of the year, we were here, there, and everywhere all around Brisbane. It was probably a factor I hadn't really contributed to how disruptive that would be to our preparations. But now to be in one spot, couldn't be happier, mate.
Obviously, it's a recruiting boom. You can bring guys through there. You can show guys, hey, we have this facility. But for you personally, being able to go to one spot, you have your office, you've got your whiteboard behind you, weights are there, the court's there. How much easier is it for you as a coach to go through your day-to-day, knowing that you just have to go to one spot in South Bank and that's sort of it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. To touch on the recruitment piece, we are in South Bank, and I think is to have this sort of facility so close to the heart of Brisbane is definitely a bonus. And our signage is everywhere. Everyone sees it. Everyone knows it. We see people stopping out the front, so that's a great thing. But from a coaching staff point of view, to be able to be here, guys can come upstairs, grab us, we get on court with them. And I'm very much I need things organised to feel comfortable. So definitely having our home now is a great thing for us.
All right, let's talk about your season, and we'll talk about the sort of the back end so far, because it looks like you guys have figured some stuff out. Obviously coming off a loss to Sydney, but before that, a 4-game winning streak, really, really effective offensively. Can you touch on what you feel like you figured out as far as making sure this offense was efficient and effective?
Yeah, I think through guys being out, opportunity has come, and it's helped us really redefine what our roles are and how we can best be utilised in certain spots. Casey going to the 4 is something we always liked, but now it became a necessity with Bannon out, and he's really gone up another level in that space. Having all 3 imports, understanding how they can play together and contribute equally has been a big key. But honestly, for me, it took me way too long to figure out who we were going to be once we lost Sam McDaniel. We were still trying to probably play the same way at both ends of the floor. And, as injuries occurred, it was like, all right, let's keep tweaking this thing. And, now we definitely have found a rhythm as we integrate, Bannon and Deng back in particular. I think now our depth comes back, and, we're excited about what we could be in the second half of the season.
What do you think it is about Casey at the 4 that is so effective? I look at it from the outside looking in, you see mismatches all across the floor. Either guys are too big and can't stay in front of him, or they're too small and he's able to overpower him. But what do you see as like the reason why he's been able to be effective, especially over the past, I guess, month, where he almost seems unstoppable?
Yeah, I think what you're saying there's reality to that. But honestly, it's about the spacing he provides us in the offense in general. We built this team where we knew it wasn't going to be one guy getting it done for us, and that's how we were going to win. It needed to be multiple guys in double figures and being consistent enough at the defensive end. And the extra spacing he's allowed opens up, post-ups to Tyrell. It allows, on a penetration now, are you helping or not? And just that has been the biggest kind of change-up. And what we like about it is now as Josh comes back into it, now we've got 2 total different looks that we can have. We can play Bannon and Toy together, which still provides that shooting and allows us that versatility that, again, it took us a little while to figure out.
The spacing is something that comes to mind when I think about Tyrell, because he's slowly putting together the season that I think we all thought he would. And I think back to you and I first spoke when you first got this job, and you basically had to make a decision between Tyrell Harrison and Gorjok Gak, who was on this roster. And, you opted for Tyrell. There were some injury concerns, but you sort of, the advanced data pointed a certain way. You believed in the potential. Can you talk about that decision and then what he's turned into now, where there's a really good argument that he is the most imposing big man in the league right now?
Yeah, I think, you're spot on about the data. The data was just jumping off the page to me that if we could keep him on the floor, he was going to be a point of difference big in the league. And I think everyone forgot about how young he was as well. There's a number of years left in Tyrell, and they're only going to get better is what we felt. And so, when I took over the program, I was looking at our performance area and making some key changes there. And he bought into everything we were doing there and benefited from staying on the floor. And now I just think he's grown into that understanding of he could be one of the better bigs in the competition. And, with that confidence that he has in his own ability, the confidence in the group has grown as well. So, there's still areas, obviously the other night against Sydney, him being off the floor really hurt us. That's something we've got to make sure he continues to get better at, his verticality, not putting the hand in and getting a cheap one. But we know when we've got movement and we get him the ball late, something positive is going to happen. So, key piece for us for sure.
So you spoke about some of the injuries earlier. Deng Adele, Sam McDaniel, Josh Bannon's been in and out. Now Jared Bairstow's out probably for the remainder of the season. How challenging is it for you to, on paper, put a team together and then you have to be malleable to work with rotations and things like that? And how challenging do you think is it for the team to, stay on track with all these moving pieces, guys in and out of lineups and things like that?
Yeah, I think the first part was the continuity we wanted to have from last year to this year in our core that we retained and that we really believe in. So that part becomes a strength in that, and the guys understand what daily habits need to look like, who we want to be and how we want to go about it. But like Deng, Josh, and Sam McDaniel were 3 guys we thought potentially started for us this year. And right now, none of them are in that role. So there is a period of change and a period of adjustment that we all have to go through to figure out. But the thing I would say with this group is the connectivity 1 through 15 is unbelievable. People are here for the right reasons, wanting to play for each other. And so every time we've had a challenge, we've asked someone else to step up. And, the Perth game was the worst one. I could have expected having that many guys out, but what I loved was our development players coming in and still trying to play the right way and play the way we want to. So, when adversity hits, opportunity comes, and, JB has 51 points on the back of Casey being pulled out right before the game. So, if we can keep being that team that doesn't flinch when something happens, that we continue to just stay true to who we want to be, I think, we can continue to move forward as the season goes on.
So this is your true mid-season situation, right? You guys are 14 games in, and it's interesting because you're in a spot where you're in the mix right now. You've worked your way back into that, but you're also going to introduce or reintroduce some key pieces in Josh Bannon, Deng Adele. How do you not disrupt what you guys have right now, what's flowing right now, especially offensively, while introducing pieces that, I think of someone like Banner who comes in and will have some usage, right? There's considerable usage there, and he's a different sort of player. How do you reintroduce him without messing with the flow that I think you guys have figured out?
Yeah, I think there's been good combos already with both him and Deng, and them being able to sit back and really see where they now will have advantages. I think is step one, is where can they impact winning the most as they integrate back in, and then understanding that we have got a bit of a rhythm going and seeing it as a value add, not a disruptor. Is like that's how we're looking at it, and that now we get a little bit of depth back. In games like yesterday where I felt. We're 0 of 8 from the 3 in the last quarter, and we still shoot 39% in the game. And it's like, to me, that's a fatigue thing. That's, me having to play guys a little too long. So we get a little bit more back to, I guess, the rotations that we originally potentially thought. But now with those guys coming in off the bench and being able to be a value add. So, yeah, it's an exciting proposition to be at the midpoint. We really break it down into quarter parts of the season. So we hit our quarter target this last one. Now in our mindsets it's 0-0, and we've got to go again in this next 7 games and try and get our 4 wins. And if we keep that narrow focus, I feel good about what we could do.
It's a perfect segue into my last question, which is attacking the season by quarters or by quadrants or by season series. Because I look at you guys, you start the season slowly, 4-game winning streak, you're back in it. Tassie was 3-8. 5-game winning streak, they're back in it. Melbourne's the opposite. How important is it for you to not get caught up in either narratives that get formed around the league or just in a team's record in one period of time, because you know that a 2-game winning streak means that you could move from 8th to 3rd in the ladder? How important is it for you to separate all these things and decompartmentalize all this stuff?
No, it's a really good question, and it's something we've dealt with all year. Like, there was a lot of talk about us, finishing at the bottom and those sorts of things at the start, and some guys wanted to have chats about it. And we just said, look, we'll hear it, but we won't listen to it. And that's kind of been our focus all year, is we understood we weren't a finished product. We're still not a finished product. We haven't had our group together yet, but we know if we come in and do our work every single day, we'll continue to take steps forward. And, yep, it's a cliche of ours, it's a catch cry, but that's something we truly believe in that, if we can just keep incrementally improving, stay focused in the moment, good things will go our way. And we talk about redlining all the time. That's just what we're trying to do. So, yeah, great opportunity right now being at 7 wins at this stage of the year, but a lot of growth still to come.
Awesome. Well, good luck for the rest of the season. Enjoy the facility. I was just there. It's very cool to be in. And we'll chat soon.
We're undefeated while you're up here, mate. It's the time to move.
I think I have to. I have to move to Brisbane. For those who don't know, every time I go to Brisbane, the Bullets win. This is just a thing over the past few seasons. So I'll get there as soon as I can.
Brilliant. Look forward to it.
All right, next up from the Tasmania JackJumpers, I've got Milton Doyle. Milton, firstly, how are you feeling? Because you guys you started the season poorly, but you guys are on a roll right now. How are you feeling for the team and also personally with how you're going?
I feel great. The team's doing well. We're excelling in each category, moving up step by step, day by day. So can't ask for more. Just keep getting better with each game. For myself, feeling good, knocking down shots, trying to get to my best self. So just taking it day by day.
I feel remiss if I didn't ask you this. So on this podcast over the past few years, I do this with Kane Pittman, and we try to think of the best comparison for you. And the one that Kane came up with was Kevin Durant. Obviously a bit more undersized, but the sort of slender scorer type. Over the years, who's been the player comp that you've gotten a lot of?
Yeah, it was Kevin Durant. Even in high school, I was a bigger guard, so Kevin Durant. Then in college, it was KD still, then a little bit of Jamal Crawford. So those two guys.
I can see the pull up, the Jamal Crawford type pull up that you have. Let's talk about your season. You guys started 3-8. Obviously, you had a lot of struggles offensively, and you've since turned it around. let's go back to when you guys were 3-8, and it looked like, man, are the JackJumpers about to fall off? Is this season over for them? What were the conversations like among the group when you guys were in that sort of hole and it seemed like nothing was working offensively for you guys?
Keep trusting the process. We was getting a lot of open looks. We just weren't making them. So just keep shooting the ball, get in the gym, get your reps up, keeping the confidence up of guys. That was really it. Our offense was running the right way. We were getting the open shots. Everybody was just shooting poorly. So I think as a basketball player, you have those slumps whenever you have it throughout a season, or it might be years later or whatever. But at the end of the day, you get out of it. That was the big thing. Just keep shooting those same shots. They're open. Take them.
But how frustrating was it? Because you guys were tracking along really well defensively. Like, you guys look like a JackJumpers team on the defensive end. And again, shots weren't falling. And then you guys would be in games and just down the stretch, it'd be a shot that doesn't fall or a turnover or just something offensively would stop you guys from winning games. How frustrating was it every single game this was seemingly happening?
Yeah, it was very frustrating. Nobody just wants to come in and play defense. That's not basketball. I know coaches love it, but at the end of the day, you want to get buckets. And I think everybody on our team that's what they want to do. You want to score the ball. So not being able to do that and knowing that you're able to lock down teams and lock down the other team's best scorers is very frustrating when you're not scoring the ball.
So you guys are on a 5-game winning streak right now. Obviously, outside of making more shots, what do you put it down to? The fact that you guys seem to be rolling. The defense is better than the start of the season too. The offense is way better. What do you put this success down to?
I think it's really just the team gelling, learning how guys play. We don't have too many new guys, but it's still a different team. I think that's what people didn't realize. You still have to integrate guys into the system and learn where they're best at on the court, figure out the space and figure out what guys going to get shots. Guys have new roles on the team, so all those little things. So just gelling on and off the court and getting those things in the right way.
And obviously, it wasn't all Sean McDonald, right? But he is a really big piece of this team. We saw it during the championship series last season. We saw it all through last season. But bringing him back into the fold, him, getting some ball handling reps and allowing you to play off the ball a bit. And even when you have the ball in your hands, having another floor space out there, how important has it been to bring him back in? And how important has it been for him to basically pick up where he left off at the end of last season?
It's been very important. Like you said, last year you saw it within the season there, especially within the championship series, of how important he is to the team and what he brings. Like you said, floor spacing, being a knockdown shooter, bringing poise at the point guard position where he's going to make the right plays and be aggressive. So having me and him and JC on the court at the same time, you're not able to really trap me as much and kind of lock in and key in on me as much. And I get to play off the ball when I'm in different actions that I'm not just only playing a ball screen every time. So it makes the defense change up a little bit. The spacing is better. And you just have more confidence for the entire team.
So I dug into your numbers from the start of the season versus this stretch that you guys are on. So when you compare the shooting numbers, you go from 35 from the field and 30 from three to 40% from the field and 47% from three on a similar amount of volume. And then you're assisting the ball at a higher rate. You're turning it over less. Outside of just like you're making shots now, what do you put that down to? The fact that you're seemingly getting better, you're getting more efficient, and you're assisting more, you're turning it over less. Every data point is getting better over this little stretch. What do you put it down to?
Shout out Shawnee. I think when you bring in another guy like that who helps space the floor, it opens up everything more for me. Like even when you talk about Jack leaving, that was the big thing with him. He was a floor spacer, a guy able to get his own bucket and shot at any time. And Shawnee does the same thing. So you add that to our group of guys and what we already have. You have Mags rolling in the paint, taking up space and creating that. So I think it made it easier for me to where I'm coming off of Boston, you can't just trap me and take away Mags. And because we were getting open shots, like you said, they would trap me. I would pass the ball. We would get the open looks. It was all about making or missing. And now you got me playing off the ball a little bit more where I'm comfortable coming off a stagger or a little pin down and you can't step up too far because you got the big fella Mags going to get a dunk if you do. Now I got open looks to where it's more catch and shoot shots. So I think that's a big part of it, just not being one-dimensional, getting a whole bunch of different looks in different areas. But that's because of Shawnee having another ball handler, not just me and JC. So it was a lot of pressure on me and JC. And most of our shots were tough shots when you look at the clips. Is trying to create something out of nothing a lot of times, shooting over one or two guys. You always have somebody helping. So I think that was a big part of it. Can't help as much now.
Now, you guys have just made a change. Obviously, Craig Sword has left the team, and you guys have Ian Hummer coming in. What do you make of Ian Hummer? You've been around him in practice the last few days. We've only seen clips of him. We've seen some of his numbers. We haven't been able to delve too deeply into how he might work in this league. What do you make of Ian's game?
I think he fits our team. He's defensive minded. I think he moves the ball well when you have a forward that knows how to run offense and get in and out of pick and rolls and pick and pops easily. But still got a couple of days to see what he's really able to do. But right now he looks good and he fits in with our system and our team. So waiting to see what he actually does in his game time, that would tell you what it is.
Now, one person who we do know impacts the game on both ends, but especially defensively, is Will Magnay. I remember at the end of last season, you were at the front of trying to push the Will Magnay Defensive Player of the Year bandwagon. Obviously, he did not win it. He made some huge defensive plays in the championship series, so I'm sure he'd take that over winning the award. But this season, you guys have a top 2 defense. He's obviously one of the front runners for that award again. What's it like playing defense when you have Will Magnay on the floor? How do you put that into words?
You really can't. The things he does is not too many big guys can do that. You see him making unbelievable blocks where he's blocking the most athletic guy on the other team and taking it out of their hands, palming the ball in the air, taking it out of their hands. Weak side, he's coming over, jumping over someone's back, blocking into the crowd. Then you got him switching on guards and being able to guard some of the best guards in the league. And he's actually getting up and showing on ball screens. Most bigs just sit underneath the rim and don't step past the free throw line. So you got them that can do a little bit of everything. And I think that's rare to have. So I love having them on my team for defense and offense. Not too many guys in a row is able to do what he does on the court defensively.
All right, my last one for you is you guys obviously won a championship last season. You're in a good position to make a run for a top 6 spot, potentially a top 2 spot if you guys keep rolling like the way you are. What gives you confidence when you look at this team and how you guys are evolving over the course of the season? What gives you confidence that you guys could do it again?
I think it's the same as last year, the mentality where guys aren't breaking. You go through a lot of ups and downs in the season, and like the little patch we had, a lot of teams would have broke. You see guys just start worrying about their numbers, taking bad shots or checking out, and nobody's checked out. Everybody's bought into the system. We're all trying to get better every day. We're pushing each other. We're all about the team. And when you have that, you like coming to work every day, and you know that everybody's going to have your back. So I think you're going to be in every game when you have people like that. We're always going to fight.
Awesome. Well, Milt, thanks so much for your time. Good luck for the rest of the season, and I'm sure we'll chat soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so that is our NBL midseason check-in done and dusted. All 10 teams in the books. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have feedback, if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment down below. If you're listening on whatever podcast app you're using, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Next week, we will go back to our regular programming. So it'll be myself, it'll be Kane Pittman, and we will dive deeper into some of the big storylines around the NBL. But until then, hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time.